Alright, hey everyone, I'm David Room, back tonight with some more late night chill stream Python game dev on my space combat game project. Last time we kind of hacked together multiple celestial bodies with gravity, so we've got a moon orbiting a planet, and the player and some other spacecraft orbiting the moon. Today we want to polish that up, make it nice, and maybe test some other kind of related scenarios. I've got some ideas for some UI fixes. I've been adding these different UI screens, and it's been kind of a hassle. So I got some ideas how to make that a little bit nicer. Um, yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm going to get some White Bat audio, uh, Plasma, Cyberpunk Dark Synth going. I want a little bit of a driving beat tonight, so let's get into that. And let's just jump right into it. So, first of all, let's take a look at what we did last time. For the first time, we have multiple celestial bodies. And in the game, we currently have maybe what I would call sort of, in terms of game objects, we have three types of things. We have entities, which are like spacecraft, nav points, missiles, things like that. And then we have projectiles, and we have celestial bodies. And celestial bodies, I kind of started doing the simplest way possible. There are maybe now some things I want to do to clean that up. I guess one easy thing to do would be to use the sort of standard physics state and physics updates that we've been using for entities for celestial bodies as well. Before we do that, I might try sort of a simplified version of that, because celestial bodies are going to have a much simpler representation of things than standard entities in terms of how they move and how they interact with the environment. But we have those, and we have actual planet scale objects showing these are not sort of real in the rendering space. They're faked in a background layer, but they're scaled appropriately and they should move properly. We don't really see things moving in this particular scenario because we are not really moving fast enough to see the relationship between these bodies change, but that might be another task, is to try to figure out if there is a nice test that we can do where we could visually see moon moving around a planet or something like that. And then the other thing that I was wanting to do too was have the sun be a real celestial body, and we probably don't really need to simulate the planet moving around the sun. You know, we don't need to simulate every aspect of everything going on, but we could give the sun a real position and actually calculate its size properly as well. That might be kind of a interesting exercise. So yeah, our goal here is always to just kind of, my goal for this game is to sort of operate at a level of detail or realism that is just what I want. So in this case, you know, we don't have to have things be completely realistic, but it's nice to model the movement of things, especially the celestial bodies that are close to us. And in this game, you know, it's maybe somewhat more realistic than you might experience like in a Star Trek or Star Wars game. there's not going to be a lot of space combat that's just happening in the middle of nowhere. Usually it's going to be at a space station that's orbiting a moon or a planet or a Lagrange point or something like that. So we want to be able to model those orbits and gravitational forces. So let's get into this. And just so we have something different to look at here and something different to test with, let's swap out our ship for a needle. We'll see. I think the needles are still pretty, can do, yeah, 12G. Something that we did another time too is that we got some really nice like better units on different gauges and things like that. So let's see here, the needle can do 7 Gs with thrusters and 12 with drives. Let's just compare what we were getting before. Yeah, 12, 7, it's the same. So it won't affect our behavior any, but it'll just give us something to look at. That'll be nice. Okay. Oh, another thing that we might want to do is fix this background coordinate system scrolling thing to follow the reference point too. I think that would probably be a good thing because that's very annoying to look at. And we have our orbits view, which we developed in the last few live streams, and I've got some ideas. So something that I'm kind of thinking about doing here is maybe having this be something that automatically comes up when you do the orbits MFD. And then general capability that I have is like whatever MFD you have selected, you can use the number keys to control different things in that MFD. So we could have, like in the orbits, let's see here. Yeah, like in the orbits MFD, we could have a selection where we could kind of show a different reference point or something. And actually, you know, I could even have a MFD for reference point. That might be kind of a nice thing to do, but let's just turn that off for now. Okay, yeah, so let's just take a look at the celestial body info. That's the info. Celestial body. Now, let's just compare with our entity class. Because what we could do, I mean, I don't think I really want to make celestial bodies entities because a lot of this stuff is going to be empty for them. We could use the physics state though. And I think I might actually want to do that. I might want to do that because in the orbits visualizer, right now I'm assuming when I'm drawing orbits that it's entities and their relation to a celestial body. I'd like to be able to do the same thing for celestial bodies in relation to a celestial body. And in order to do that, we'd want to pass around like the physics states, because that's what those things would have in common. So let's actually take a look at what it might look like to swap out that. And actually we can, this will be fine because this extra info is just for now. It's like the moment of inertia matrices, and celestial bodies we can assume are spheres, so we don't have to mess with that. But we do want to do this this force and torque summing. But another thing that we want to do is we want to have something where we can sort of set certain bodies to be stationary and exclude them from having forces move them in the simulation, rather than having that hard-coded for now. So a lot of things going here at once, but let's get into it. A lot of this stuff was related to the models, which we don't need to look at here. And let's see, that's the oops. Content. Yeah. I think we can move towards using our physics state. So let's do that. Let's see how I just go about building these for the actual entity, because that's going to be the most similar thing. Let's also just add let's see here. I think think we can just add a special flag called stationary. True, excluded from simulation. Not exclude, but like, this is not simulated. All right. So, yeah, if we run this now, we should just get a bunch of errors. All right. So, they'll move by default. Actually, maybe they should not by default. Okay. Nice. Wrench 2474 is here. He says, yo, how's it going? Let's see here. I think we can use info.mass here. That should be okay. And then we gotta use fizzpos here. Wrench 2474 says, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you? I am doing some refactoring and cleaning up of the code we hacked together last time for both planets and moons acting on each other. Oh yeah, so Wrench2474 asked, by the way, I never asked what you do, your work as daytime, if you don't mind. I'm assuming you mean what I do for my day job. Yeah, so I work, I don't want to talk too much about it because I kind of like to keep things separate, but I work in computer vision and machine learning, and I have for the last, basically all of my career. I kind of started doing image processing stuff, and then I did some big data, and then I did a lot of work with building some neat systems that kind of combine machine learning and 3D stuff, and I've continued to work with that to this day. I did work a while on LLMs and NLP stuff, kind of when around the time GPT-4 was just taking off. That was pretty exciting. But yeah, these days I do a lot of work with computer vision, geometry, stuff like that. And, you know, AI and machine learning, what the terms mean has changed over the years. I think a lot of people think of stuff like LLMs and agents now when people say AI. My work is probably more closer to traditional computer vision, machine learning, image processing, 3D geometry, stuff like that. there's always fun problems to solve, fun systems to build in that space. And I really like working on problems that involve geometry of some kind. There's a lot of software and even machine learning stuff that doesn't involve geometry. So for a while, actually, about a year, I worked on deep learning for audio processing. And that's pretty interesting stuff, but audio is just very one-dimensional, right? It's just like there's only one dimension. Images are two-dimensional and 3D scenes are three-dimensional. There's a lot more interesting geometry you can do. So I kind of prefer that to audio stuff. The funny thing about audio too is they had their own kind of this is still going to error out here when I run it, but the weird thing about audio too is I found they had their kind of had their own weird terminology for a lot of like sort of straightforward terminology that were used in other sub-disciplines of machine learning. So I actually forget what it was, but they I don't know how much you know about machine learning wrench 2474, but like, you know, a very common technique is not a technique, but an architecture component is convolutional neural networks. And in audio processing, they have this other name for that. Let's see. It's in audio processing. It was like DNNs or something, but like they had just kind of weird ways of doing things compared to other like traditional, more like computer vision or even NLP stuff is kind of weird. So I wasn't the hugest fan of the audio stuff, but it's all interesting. One of the cool things about working in machine learning is usually you get to get experience with a lot of different disciplines and scientific fields, because you're, you know, over the course of your career you might apply machine learning to a lot of different fields, and you get to learn a little bit about this and a little bit about that. And my current job is working with something that I had never previously worked with before that I've learned a lot about, and it's fun. Okay, so now we can do this. Let's see here. And we can use Fizz here. And actually here we could actually do the gravity. actually comment this out. We can apply gravity from one celestial body to another in that gravity function. Okay, so Wrench2474 says, sounds cool to me. ML must be nice to know. I am more into cybersecurity. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know much about security at all. I never really learned a lot about networking or cybersecurity. I've occasionally done a little bit of work with databases, and a long time ago I did some work with big data, so I feel like I have kind of an understanding of that stuff, but security is not my... security and networking are things that I don't know too much about. Okay. So we'll actually just do a update planet, or chill body physics states here. So bodies, and we'll add this check-in just for now. So a while back I switched everything to use double precision positions, so let's see here. Okay, so if body.stationary, then we're going to continue. Otherwise, this will be the same. So we'll accumulate forces and torques on the physics state, and then do our physics update here. Oh yeah, so Wrench2474 74 says, I think you might know about buffer overflows at least. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the programming that I do, I probably, in general, work at a little bit lower level a lot of the time than a lot of people do, so I think I probably understand some general concepts, but, you know, not like crazy stuff. And I don't stay up to date a lot on like cybersecurity news, you know, like whenever I hear about you know, like some exploit or something, like if it's really important, I'll you know, take note, but it's not something that I follow like I do machine learning stuff. Okay, so now basically what we're gonna do is this logic is just gonna go in this gravity function, right? So as long as we apply forces from entities or bodies to bodies here, then this will be taken care of. And we don't really have to worry about entities to bodies because that's going to be small enough that that it's not going to matter. So, okay. Celestial bodies, and we'll do body A. And actually, we could actually just do this gravitational force here in a different function, right? So, yeah. actually don't care to do that. Now, let's see. We got to make sure that we're going the right direction here. So this is going to be body A here. And then here we're going, so body, this will be body B minus body A. And we could actually save the duplicate calculation here, but I don't really care about that right now. Just more interested in getting this to be correct before we optimize things. So here, and let's just think about this. So we're trying to find the forces on A. So the force, the direction of that force of gravity is going to go from A to B. So that's what this is. Yeah, this looks right. Okay. And we can calculate those forces for everything, but we'll only apply them if it's not stationary. And that way we can still see the forces when we're analyzing things, right? Okay. And I think I did the accumulating forces and torques here on the celestial bodies. So now the other thing, we've just got to fix our orbits UI. And I think most of the issues are going to be flagged with our problems, so that'll be good. Pause, and pause, and let's just say body.info. Let's switch over to using Fizz, because what we're eventually going to do is, yeah, that's fine. Eventually what we're going to do is we're going to be able to handle celestial bodies in here as well as entities. So okay, now this should run and hopefully it produces the same behavior. Nope. Nice. Okay, so somehow position didn't get set. This equals, and there's the problem. And, you know, there's probably a way I can lock that down. Yeah. There it is. Wait a second, how did this work? Oh. Yeah. This crap. Okay. squared is still 0. So we're not getting our position set properly somewhere. Let's just add a little print out to see what's going on here. Oh, yeah, I'm getting the same one. So we'll just check. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Nice. And body, let's see, info.radius. Camera position. And we're updating all of these. Okay. I think we're pretty close to getting this up and running again. Yeah. Okay. And let's see. Do we still have our Yep. Okay. So our orbits UI is still working, so that is signaling that we are working properly here in terms of everything. Let's just see if we close in here on the station if we have the same orbit here. Let's close in a little faster here. I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, okay. Yeah. Something is going on a little bit weird here, so if my velocity, oh yeah, okay. Let's see here. If my velocity relative to that station is 0, then we should have the same orbit. So there's something a little bit wrong with the orbits here. FLV GZ official says, crazy to see how far this is coming along. Hey, thanks. Yeah, I kind of got it in a little fire under me to get this physics orbit stuff in. in the last couple months, and it has kind of come together. So that's fun. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so maybe what's going on here is, yeah, we've got a different orbit. Like, this orbit line should be intersecting with that radius line for the station. So something's not quite right in the UI with this refactor. Let's try to fix that. Oh, okay, nice. FLVG official says last time I was here, you were doing modeling. Nice. What was I modeling? I'm curious what you saw. It's been a while since I've done modeling stuff. I guess I did the moon last time, I think, but that's like pretty simple. I think the ship. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, let's double check this UI here. Let's see, all of these should be absolute. Let's see here. Let me see where I'm setting those. Let's see here. This is where radial V data and fizz pause. Let's see why not scale. I wonder if I'm calculating. Okay, so we got some good questions in the chat. So PEANZYY says, why not use AI to code? So I use AI to code all day long in my day job, and I like programming, and I am enjoying in my free time doing some programming on a project that I wrote completely myself, not using AI. So that's fun. FLVG the official says, is it a game or a simulator? Can I beta test it? It's a game, and it's probably a long way off from people beta testing it, but certainly people who watch my YouTube channel will be the first to know when we're anywhere near ready for something like that. Is it a game or a simulator? It's a game, but the bigger goal is being able to simulate interesting space battles with a degree of realism that I want and I find interesting, for the purpose of being able to do not just a game but other things with them. So I have a part of my project is doing very high detail rendering. So part of the reason that this game exists is so I can simulate interesting space battles and then export the positions and you know, like trace the maneuvers of the ships and everything, and then render that in Blender with higher detail ships and much higher detail rendering processes. So in that sense, it's a simulator. I'm also not super bent on figuring out a way to necessarily make this game fun. It's kind of a project that comes out of my sci-fi world, and I'd like to have a better handle on how the ship combat and things work in that world. I have some ideas how this game might be fun. We'll see how they pan out, and we're actually really close to getting there as we get some of this physics stuff working more realistically. So okay, what is going on with this display? I feel like we broke something here. With the radius of, yeah, it's not both of those radiuses are the same, and they should be different. Let's see here. I wonder if EID RVEC. I wonder if I'm see where I'm building this trace. Okay, so FLVGZ official says, from what you said, it sounds really fun. How much processing power would you need if you had to guess? Not a ton. There's nothing super complicated about this. And I am, like, I'm trying to make it more realistic, but I'm also limiting the level of realism in certain ways. So nice. Doug Wise is here. He says more orbital mechanics work. Looks like hopped in late. Yeah, I am kind of refactoring the stuff that we did the other day to use the physics system better, and I'm currently sort of fixing some bugs with the let's see here. Body.info.radius. Is possible. What is going on here? Nice. Azadon 1950 says hello. Let's see here. Deriving scale. This was all working before, so I don't think the problem is here. I'm just, this link is the problem. Just like body info.radius. I'm just trying to see if I see a bug here. FLVGZ official asks if the project public so I can view your code. It's not. It might be at some point. But as for right now, the code is private. Azadon 1950 says, okay, it's allowed to say ASA works if that's easier, that's fine. And he says, may I ask what you're working on? I'm working on a kind of a retro space combat simulator game project in Python. So let's see here. I'm not going to spend too much more time trying to debug this particular issue, because it looks like other things are working. It's just a little strange. I didn't think... And it's very obvious that it's just both of these are... Like, both of these lines here, right? They're both going out to the position of my ship, the radius of my ship, rather than the radius of the station. Let's see here. If I let's see, if I want to reduce my orbit, let's see here. Hold on. might actually be able to just... Oh. Yeah, see, like, both the... Both the station... I don't know, something weird is going on there. We might have to fix that later. Let me just think here. Yeah, and all of this physics stuff should be in the absolute, like, global coordinate system. So I don't think it's a problem with how I'm calling this update. And gravity. Everything else seems like it's working, so. Alright, so FLVGZ official says, what are your inspirations? So my inspirations are some older sci-fi sim games that I played when I was a kid. So if you've ever heard of Star Wars TIE Fighter, the game, that's a huge inspiration. It's not a space combat game, but MechWarrior 2 is a really big inspiration in terms of the style, like the visual style of this game. And then there's another game called Descent Free Space. That's a great space combat game that has a neat sort of dark atmosphere and story that I played a lot as a kid. That's a big inspiration as well. There are probably some more distant inspirations, but those would be the big three. Nice. Azadon says, I gotta go to sleep, but this is really cool. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you stopped by, and definitely subscribe and check back if you want to see more of this. Let's see here. I just... This thing bugs me. See, like, they both start out looking right. But then very quickly... And let's see, does it scale? They scale properly. Let's see, do we see anything weird going on here in our orbits view? Now see, if I don't think that's right. I don't think that the radius should be changing that fast. I think there's something that's not quite right that's going on here. Maybe let's see here. Maybe I can see it better if I turn the time dilation up. Like, what's happening? Yeah, see, like, we're definitely both getting farther away from the planet. Yeah, now we've both actually lost our orbits. So something isn't right here. Okay, so FLVGZ official says, I haven't played any other of those games before. How would the combat work, and how are you keeping track of damage? Is it just a health bar? Is it modular, like damage to the wing or cab or thruster? That is a really good question. So the way that combat in my game works is you have shields and heat, and basically when you take hits, it adds heat to certain components, and there's a rate at which the heat can be dumped, and if the component in your ship can't keep up with dumping heat from that part, it'll eventually overload. So if your shields take too many hits in a row and can't cool themselves down, then they'll blow. And once your shields are gone, you're pretty much toast if you get hit once at all. So I'm not really doing like per component damage, although that would definitely be something that I could do in the future. It's just kind of not a part of what I'm trying to do right now. So MechWarrior 2 has a component-based damage system, and heat is really important. So that's kind of where I got the idea for heat being important. Free Space and TIE Fighter, I think, do the pretty typical like energy drain per component, but they have a very simple system in terms of how shields work and how shields recharge. So yeah, it's kind of a combination of things. And I mean, that sort of goes along with what I said about I'm not really sure if it's going to be fun. We'll sort of find out. We'll find out if it's fun, and maybe we can adjust those things if it isn't. All right. Well, let's try something. So I had another branch in here where we're not using the moon, but just using the planet. And we'll see if we got if that is working properly. Okay. Now this looks better, but it also, the scale is a lot bigger. So let's see here. At least that is working. It's got to be just something here is not quite right. I think the thing that's bothering me though is here. Let's just accelerate over to the station again. See, like, there's still something wrong, even if our even if there's some part of our simulation that's off, there's something wrong here with the fact that our orbit radius lines don't lie See, like, oh, I know what it is. I know what's going on. These lines, I think, should be here where these intersect, right? Because that's where we're both at now, right? Because I'm at the station. So are we missing, like, something happened here? I wonder, let's see, is there another setup step here I missed? Let's see here. I wonder. Nope. We've got the mass there. Fizz.vpause. Let me just check. Let's see here, where I'm applying the body. FLVGZ official says, do you have any experience in rocket science, or have you just done all the research? Yeah, I mean, I haven't done all the research, but I've learned the parts of this that I'm interested in, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this project. Is like I'm interested in learning this stuff. It's always fun to learn. Somebody asked before why I wasn't using AI to code, and that's part of it too. Is like I'm interested in learning about what's actually going on, and you know, the downside of that is you run into these stubborn bugs sometimes like this, but on the upside, you know, when things work, you typically understand why, and that's a lot of fun. Let me just, did I just do something really stupid here? Let's see, where is it? So what was this before? Update physics. Oh, I know what I did. I added the stationary flag. So these positions are not getting updated. So would that cause this? I wonder. Yeah, because the forces are acting on us like these planets are moving, and they have a velocity, but we're not updating that. Yeah, that's almost certainly it. Okay. So let's okay, so let's go back here. Either way, the planet's going to be stationary, but if we are using a moon, then the moon is not going to be stationary. Not stationary. It's false. There we go. Ah. There we go. Okay. Solution was right in front of me. And we have the same behavior as before now, where you know, the closer we get to the station, those orbits are going to line up. Cool. And yeah, we have, because we're so close to the moon, and it's small, even little differences in velocity compared to the space station are making a big difference in the orbit. Okay, good. So now that we've done this, we should be able to do some interesting stuff with the how we're visualizing the orbits. So let's do that, and I'm just gonna drag this over here. I don't want to lose this. I want this to be a separate commit, so I'm just gonna quick commit this here. This set of changes. Okay. Okay. So. All right. Let's take a look at how the orbits UI is getting updated, because now what we want to be able to do is set up this config differently with different stuff. Entity UIDs. Yeah. Let's see here. Orbits UI config body equals. Yeah. So this is just hard coded for now. I think what we want is we want to be able to cycle through these things from our orbits view. So let's let me actually check how our MFDs work again. Cycle MFDs. We don't have any special callbacks here for toggling other things on based on MFD visibility. But I think I just check whether things are visible when I handle controls, so actually let me let me check this here. So okay, here, handle MFD toggles. Oh, interesting, and I have this as an index. Let's fix a few things here. So handle controls. Let's see here. MFD toggles. This shouldn't be a hard-coded thing like this. Where's my list of setup MFDs? Is that? Actually, I think this is okay for now. This is weird how I did this. Strange. Only one of these can happen at once. Not sure why I wrote it like this. Oh, because I'm looping over the weapon toggles, that's why. And that actually, yeah, this could be LF. I think, yeah. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And actually, this is going to be less toggle and more of a menu thing, so it's going to be an index. So maybe we do something like, just trying to think how we want to be able to set like which sets of things. Maybe we just, let's see here, maybe we just have an index in here. So config and that updates that. Here, so we'll just have self orbit UI body index, and this could start out as none, and then just for now in our mission game.UI.orbits, see here, orbits UI, actually, orbits UI body index. Body index equals 0. That's 1. All right. FLVGZ official says, "How are you playtesting the game as you edit the code?" Basically, just periodically when I think I've completed something that I'm ready to test, I just run the game and play it a little bit. Did you have a more specific question than that? So in my IDE I have like the code, and then you'll see when I run a command, this python-m scripts that DOW tests mission 4 runs the mission that I'm testing. So, okay. So, if orbits index equals 0, then we will game.UI. Let's see here, .UI. Index is 1. Is greater than. Okay. Oh, so FLVGZ official asks, what text editor are you using? This is PyCharm, so it's not really a text editor, it's a IDE for Python development. I've used PyCharm for about 10 years or so. I really like it. It has a neat feature that I use, which is actually the reason I started using it, called semantic highlighting, where each of the different variables gets a different color, and I really like that for editing code. So that's one of the reasons I like to use PyCharm. we need to get some more data into this thing. Toggles. Dot. So my config dot body equals bodies. Let's do my body index. Okay, so now when we press a key with that MFD open, we should select a different body. This isn't going to quite wrap up what I want to do because I want to be able to see the moon as like the orbit of the moon around the larger planet as well, but this will be a start, I think. So let's try it. Nope. Oh yeah. That's just the one. Something that I find that I really like about my own code is that a lot of functions and things, there's like one place that they're called, and a lot of objects, there's one place where they're created. So it's very straightforward to refactor refactor things. Okay, let's see here. We turn this on. It's okay. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. Yeah, and that looks basically right. For whatever reason, that isn't displaying quite as nice. And like, let's just double check. If we go to the station again, we should have the orbits match up pretty much perfectly as well. Adding the unit conversions was a really nice quality of life thing too. Okay, now that's a little weird. Like okay, something is wrong here. Oh wait, maybe not. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this isn't quite right. Because those two orbits should basically be the same. When my velocity relative to the station is 0. Now I should also update the orbits MFD. But maybe that's the problem, is like maybe this isn't, maybe something isn't updating quite like right here. Yeah. Okay. Let's update. Make sure we're updating what the that MFD is showing. So update orbits MFD. And yeah, so this is now going to be, whoops, jeez, I'm just going crazy here. Let's see here, date orbits MFD. So this is going to be body equals game.hudui dot celestial bodies. Now see, again, we have the same problem that we had before, where our things don't match up. And is it, you know, we have our altitude, or not our altitude, but our thing falling. Now let's see, that might actually make sense because we are orbiting the moon. And this line looks right, but we're way closer, like this. Yeah, something's not quite right here. Just for kicks and giggles. I don't want to set this to be false, but I just want to see if this fixes the problem. No, it doesn't. Yeah, see, these should be Yeah, these should be extremely similar, because we have very, very close to the same position and velocity to that station. So what about this is not... What about this is not dealing with that properly? And our little, I wrote some functionality to offset these labels properly, and that's not working either here. Strange. Well, we at least got the selection working of being able to choose these. I'm just trying to think, is there some reason why that wouldn't work? And see, this angle is right, because that's how I set this up. I'm just wondering if we're missing some rotation somewhere, but I don't know, like, even if that was the case, when I slow down to nothing, basically those should be indistinguishable. Like, if we look at this, and let's see here. Let's just check something here. So let's bring this up out here, and then yeah. So what gives? Does it have something to do with the this offset? This all looks right. Well, I think we made some good progress. I think it's probably time to call it a night for this stream. We did get the main thing done that I wanted to get done, which is rewriting the celestial bodies to use the sort of normal physics state, and that has enabled a few things. I'm going to fix these bugs, and then we'll have something better to show and a little better place to start for next time. But thanks to everyone who hung out. It's nice to see some new faces in the chat, and yeah, thanks again for hanging out. Hope you have a good rest of your night, and hope to see you again. Bye.